Hey, everybody. It is Eric J. Olson, your host for this episode of the Managing Partners Podcast. On the Managing Partners Podcast, we usually feature, managing partners of law firms that are trying to run their business more effectively and grow their business and get more clients. But today, as I said before, usually we don't have a managing partner on. We have someone that works with managing partners like you to help you with your sales. So you're going to need to stay tuned to the very end because I can't wait to share the phone number that you can call in order to contact our guest. It's a really cool phone number. You're going to love it. And I think it's a really good indicator of how he can help you present your law firm and get more opportunities to convert. So without further ado, Owen Van Syckle.
Hey guys,
hey bud.
How are you?
I'm great, man. So for the audience, Owen and I have worked together for years. He is a sales coach of ours here at Array Digital, and he's been incredibly helpful, giving us guidance and helping us kind of understand a little more about the psychology of sales and when we should be asking questions and things like that. So he's been a very good coach for me and the others that do some selling here. But Owen, first of all, before I started on the questions, can you tell us a little bit more about you and your firm?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Been doing this 22 years. I started when I was 12. Just kidding.
I was going to say, hey, you sold me on that.
It's essentially, if you really foundationally break this down for law firms and for practices, we grow top line, we grow origination. We do it through training and coaching. We have a unique proprietary process that gets the participant or the lawyer or the BD people to instill the behaviors and the behavior modification. And it all starts with what's between their heads. So you've opened up talking about sales on a managing partner podcast when in fact they have different thoughts about what they think that word means, whether it's business development, origination, sales. So we start right there. Yep. And then we give them the skills to help them originate more business into much larger cases.
Yeah, so very few law firms, at least that I've been exposed to, have dedicated salespeople. Mm-hmm. They usually have intake specialists or they have a call center. Do you work with those folks as well as your traditional salespeople?
Yeah, we actually work with all layers of the practice. So it starts with right? You and Array are experts at making the phone ring for the clients, right? You make the phone ring, you get them to fill out the forms, and you create that opportunity. So it really starts there with intake specialists, receptionists. So it starts, how do we move it from there all the way up? But we do a lot of work directly with the attorneys. The attorneys are client-facing. They typically haven't developed any kind of business development skills. They're typically not the best at originating new business. If they are, they're probably on their own.
Yeah. And it's an incredibly important factor in building a law firm is with case generation, right? And origination. Yeah. And you're right. It's something that is definitely not taught in a law school. It's something that most lawyers, most managing partners, most partners need to figure out on their own. And that's been shared on this podcast many, many times, is that they don't, first of all, they don't have a lot of time to figure these things out. And so when they do get into a situation, they need to be as efficient as possible because you're billing by the hour. And if you're losing these opportunities left and right, and you're spending time doing that can hurt a lot. You had mentioned your proprietary system. Can you explain just a little bit about what that is?
Yeah, absolutely. So I like to call it, we drip train. So we give a client a little bit of information about the business development process. We send them out to use it. We have them demonstrate it. We prove it out, helps them with the beliefs that actually, okay, it worked. And then we come back and we give them a little bit more. Most training programs, sometimes coaching, most training programs are fire hose approach. Yeah. 1 day, 2 day, half day. So we're all about the drip and changing the behavior modification so it can become the unconscious competent, if I could say that.
I think that's a good approach. I mean, I appreciate that approach to the drip a little bit here, a little bit more the next time we see you. The follow-up is really good as well. And anytime that I do like the fire hose approach like you're talking about, I come out invigorated, and then I go back to the real world and I've got a ton of things to do. And before I know it, 2 weeks have passed and I forgot everything that I learned in that seminar.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Now, is this like one-on-one coaching in person? Is it virtual these days? Do you have like an online platform?
Yeah, great question. We spent 3 years building a state-of-the-art LMS system. So we've broken down the entire business development sales process by module, by topics. So participants can easily navigate inside of that, and it's on demand. So it gives us a lot of flexibility for delivery to busy attorneys because they're all very busy. So whether they're reviewing some content before we come in and do some coaching, whether they're reviewing a module or we're taking a piece of the business development process, or whether we're doing it on site, just gives us a lot of flexibility the way we design that platform.
Yeah, I think it's incredibly applicable to law firms. And like you said before, like at Array Digital, our job is to create attention, create opportunities, get the form filled out, get the phone ringing. But that's it for us. Like we don't get involved in the sales. And what nobody wants is for those opportunities to be lost. And so that's where like the sales training can really have a big impact. And again, the psychology of sales and the process that you're in. What is kind of a typical scenario for you when you work with a law firm? Like, do you find that the people that are on the front lines of business development, like they know exactly what they're doing and they want a tune up, or they've kind of learned on their own, or they're starting from scratch?
Yeah, we find the number one problem is head trash. I like to use that word, right? So what's between their ears? So you have lawyers, attorneys that have come through law school, right? They have a skill, they are educated, and they're probably really good at what they do. So some of them have beliefs that, the work just needs to come in, right? And they need to use their expertise, whether it's transactional or complex, to do the work and bill by the hour. So the first thing that we address is what's between their ears. What does business development mean to them? What does closing a sale mean to them? Origination, and walking through beliefs they have created and how that's impacting their results. So we start right there. And then once we work through that and all get on the same page, then we can move them to training, process, system, and how to move from that phone ringing to a new client.
Yeah. The head trash, I think, is a very valuable component of it, because everybody has their own opinions about the sales process, origination. We can call it whatever we want, but it is a sales process, how you feel about it, some of the assumptions that you make. Oh, and one of the things that you worked with us on when it comes to head trash was the assumptions about what a managing partner knows and how much time they have. So like what we discovered by working with you was that we were trying to just cram too much into a very short meeting. I mean, I'm all for short meetings, but they need to have a little bit of structure, and maybe sometimes a second meeting is required instead of trying to take a 30-minute meeting and make it into a 45-minute meeting. And so that's been very, very helpful for us when you've identified that we have an underlying belief that is not serving us properly.
Yeah, especially when a firm or a company like yours wants to start moving into the larger cases and the larger work. That process can be a little bit longer, So, for a law firm, they've got their transactional work and things like that. Our process really works well when they're wanting to move into larger cases, complex estate planning, where their clients are meeting with a couple different firms and interviewing those firms, if I may say it that way, or general counsel work for mid-sized companies who don't have general counsels. I mean, when they start moving and wanting to move into that kind of work or close those types of cases or originate, our process comes into play real well there.
You know, one of the things that I hear from managing partners that are our guests is the number one way that they originate cases is referrals. And they don't actually try that much sometimes in some cases, or feel like they need to go get new cases besides the referrals. But I would imagine that even in a referral situation, you still have to do a little bit of business development there and make sure that you know the process that you're going through. How do referrals play into your system?
Yeah, great. I love this. I'm doing a workshop tomorrow on this exact topic. So, man, I wish I was more prepared. I would have pulled up some samples here and walked you through it. So I'll try to make this short, Eric. Keep it short because I get like the hair on my neck standing up. We look at referrals as one channel of lead generation. One.
Yep.
We preach and teach 7 channels, right? So referrals, strategic partnerships, quality introductions, networking, direct marketing, like you do. So we have these we actually call it the prospecting hierarchy. So what we know is if we don't have at least 5 of those channels working and being measured, then we have some risk because we typically rely on 1 or 2 channels, but something's going to happen eventually, whether they dry up, the economy, something will happen. So having 5 channels going at one time. So referrals are huge. We love referrals, shorter sales cycle, origination, higher close ratios, love referrals, much more relationship driven. But that's one of 7 that we train on.
Yeah. And one of the things that we just confirmed yesterday, we looked it up yesterday, we were having an internal debate about referrals versus finding new opportunities online. So one of the thing that we confirmed was how many people actually, when they're searching for a professional product, service, or any kind of solution to a problem, how many of those people go online? And the answer is 97%. 97% of people search right off the bat in a place like Google. But I would imagine even in a referral situation, they're still going to do a little bit of due diligence, right? And so they may have been a referral, but when they get to you, you're not aware of that, right? They may have come through your normal channels as well. So there's a lot of considerations there. And you said 5 to 7 different like sources, lead sources. I completely agree. If you depend on one, it's not enough. You need to be where people can find you, and there's lots of different ways. So, like, actually, can we kind of go through those? I know you probably don't have the list in front of you, but so certainly referrals.
If I'm looking at my pyramid, because I have to define some of our definitions of these channels mean different things to people. So at the top, we call that quality introduction. And Eric, that is a face-to-face personal introduction. So if I knew somebody in our region that needed digital marketing, instead of me saying, call Eric at Array, they're amazing, I say, Eric, can you meet us for coffee?
Yeah.
And I want to do a personal face-to-face introduction. I just gave you my halo, and it's pretty much an immediate close. So below that is strategic partnerships. And this is a cooperative, what we call a cooperative reciprocal relationship. You see this a lot in different industries like mortgage brokers and real estate agents, right? So they're cooperative and they're reciprocating back and forth. Below that is what we would say referrals. And we look at that channel coming from clients or customers, because even though strategic partners can be considered referrals, we actually break that out into a different segment. Under that, you're going to find networking, chambers of commerce, associations, very industry specific things. Coming on down there, you're going to find direct marketing, right? The type of work you do. Another one under there is going to be workshops and seminars, right? Bringing and educating, being an expert. And then at the bottom, which is still existent in some industries, would be cold calling.
I thought you were going to say the yellow pages.
That's what it was back in the day. You just start thumbing through the yellow pages.
Apparently, they still exist because we had a guest on, and he says he still advertises on the back of the yellow pages in his metropolitan area. But he doesn't expect any leads. He just wants to secure that spot so no one else gets it. I haven't seen a phone book in years. I was surprised.
Wow.
Yeah. That's that. Hey, that could add to your 7, I guess.
Yeah, that's right. I might put that below. I don't know if that goes below cold calls or above cold calls. We'll figure it out. So
it's interesting that you say cold calling is kind of like at the bottom, and if it exists in some industries, why do you kind of phrase it like that? I'm guessing that is not typical for a law firm at all.
Not typical. No, not at all.
Do you need a personal injury lawyer?
Yeah, there are some industries today that still do cold calling. There are actually organizations, businesses that do and are hired and contracted out to do cold calling for companies. So it still exists. It's a ton of work, very low return on time, but it's still in there. Still in there. I mean, technology, there's so much that has changed. Relationship, a lot's changed in many years, but it's still in the list.
We got a call today in the office, and it was from a high school that was doing some fundraising, and it was a great cold call. And this is Kevin received it, our co-founder here, and I said, hey, you should have asked her if she wants a job because she was really good.
Yeah.
But that takes a lot of practice and a lot of confidence, and most people aren't willing to do it. But yeah, I can only imagine maybe for managing partners, it would be applicable if you're a B2B business or like tax attorney. But certainly if it's any kind of B2C, family law, PI, you have to wait for them to come to you.
Yeah, most of our law firms are going to be at the top of that pyramid.
Yeah.
And even if they're doing something in the middle, we're always pushing them up. How do we create and get better results in those other categories? Yeah,
it makes a lot of sense. Like the partnerships, that's widely used as far as referral partners in the industry. Like if just as an example, I've already said like personal injury and family law. If I was a personal injury lawyer and someone came to me with a family matter, I could refer them to my family lawyer partner. Right. Mm-hmm. So I guess what you would advise to go find more partnerships like that.
Yeah, the larger firms, much better at that. The mid-sized firms and the small firms, anywhere from 2 to 12 attorneys, not so good at that. You'd be surprised. You would be shocked when the estate planning attorney sitting across the hall and the attorney's doing a lot of business corporate work, and knowing that business owner probably needs some level of estate planning and won't ask or walk it over. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Just because they're not cognizant and they're not thinking about it.
They're not thinking about business development.
They're billing.
They're thinking about doing. Interesting. Yeah. That's the mindset shift that needs to occur. So, well, cool, Owen. This has been real helpful. If someone is interested in finding out more about you, maybe interested in your services, your academy, how can they find you? Oh, and by the way, everybody, this is the cool phone number that's about to come up.
They can find us the catch-all website right there, owenvansyckle.com. So that's OWEN, V as in victory, AN, S as in Sam, YCKLE.com. Or they can call us at 757 results. Do you know where that came from, Eric? That phone number?
Well, no, I don't.
Okay. Every client wants that.
Yeah, no, that's great. It's fantastic. When I saw him, like, yeah, I wish I had that. And actually, I asked you, like, how'd you get it, and how long have you had it for? Right.
Yeah.
So, very cool. That's awesome. Well, cool, Owen. Hey, thanks so much. All right, everybody, go call Owen at 757 results, or go to his website, owenvansyckle.com. And if you're interested in digital marketing for your law firm, you can check out my company at arraylaw.com. All right, Owen. Thanks, bud.